Hello, and welcome to episode number 53 of the TEW Challenge Run. This is the episode of Monday Night Raw for Monday, week 2 of September 2020, as we advance on our road to Unforgiven after a hell of a season premiere last week. Without any further ado, let's just jump straight into the show.
I won't beg, break, I'm going away. Every moment's one more chance to stand up or get in the
Intro video is still not ready, that's my bad. I probably should have started doing it before I recorded this, but I like keeping up the pace of smashing out episodes. So it will be ready maybe by next. I'm not going to promise anything anyway. It's only a small little thing, no one really cares that much. The Church Open Raw. Sans Buddy Murphy. Seth says that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and last week he proved that. SummerSlam was not the end of the church, it was merely the beginning. Now it is time to welcome the new WWE Champion, my chief disciple, Murphy. Now he comes out with the title, and he gets to them and he gives everyone in the church a big hug. Then starts to talk about how he needed to restore the Messiah's faith in him after all his errors in the past few weeks. And he's done that, and then some. And now the WWE title is the first title to join the greater good. And to keep up my faith in my Messiah, I need to make sure my Messiah keeps faith in me and doesn't drop me like a bad habit. So I'm going to be a fighting champion. I'm going to defend this title whenever I feel like it and prove to the world that I'm more than just some lackey. Then it interrupted because there's a video that was on the Titantron of a car pulling up outside the arena. And out steps the former champion Drew McIntyre. And he's pissed the fuck off, and he's got a lead pipe in his hand. He sort of smashes it on the floor, sort of warm it up before he storms into the arena. Charlie sort of gets in his way. He's like, Drew, what are you planning? You're a big angry Scotsman, you've got a pipe, so this is clearly not going to end well for somebody. And then Drew's like, I don't care if it's Seth, I don't care if it's Murphy, Johnny, Priest, even Candice. Someone from the church's head is getting caved in tonight with this pipe, as he storms past Charlie and into the building. And of course, that threat doesn't sit well with Seth and the boys and girls, and they would look shit scared in the ring as they watch on from the Titantron and quickly rush to the back. This would be like we'd cut to commercial after they run to the back in the opening segment, and then we'd come back and be like, oh, in case you missed it, moments ago Drew McIntyre came in with a pipe. And then when that replay fades away, we see Seth, he's ushering all the members of the church around in a hallway when Eve, the new Raw General Manager, cuts him off. She's like, where are you going, Seth? And Seth goes to answer, and she's like, you can't leave tonight because Murphy said he was going to be a fighting champion, and I've booked a title match tonight in the main event. He's going to defend against Kevin Owens. And then Seth's pissed off. He's like, oh, we're going to leave. Okay, but what about Drew McIntyre? Have you barred him? He's coming here with a pipe. He's coming to smash our heads in. And he's like, that sounds like a you problem, mate. Taps him on the shoulder and leaves. So yeah, WWE title main event. Buddy Murphy, Kevin Owens. That should be one hell of a match, except it won't because I remember they had negative chemistry, and then when I booked it in, it said they had negative chemistry, so that's going to be fun. 78, though, this is fun. This was one hell of a match. It's a fatal 4-way tag team match to decide the number one contenders for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and it is the New Day who defeat Cedric and Ricochet, Miz and Morrison, and Isaiah Scott and Santos Escobar. There's no elimination. I know the game says there isn't. It is one fall, and Kofi would pin Cedric Alexander. Specifically, Kofi over Cedric. Kofi gets a 79, Big E an 81, Cedric a 57, Ricochet 69, Morrison 74, Miz 65, Escobar 53, and Scott 57. That did a lot better than I thought it would. I think I had it as go all out. Yeah. So it fucking banged. And now New Day will be going to Unforgiven to face Aussie Might for the Raw Tag Team Championships. As confirmed here, Aussie Might come out and congratulate New Day, and they say that Unforgiven, for the first time in New Day's career, the numbers game will be against them. Then Big Bronson Reed comes in from behind and takes both men out, and Aussie Might stand tall over the downed Kofi and Big E. Drew McIntyre is backstage with his pipe. He's sort of storming through the halls, asking random members of staff, where's Seth, as he's friends to beat him up with the pipe. Then he bumps into Jinder Mahal, his old buddy, and former number one contender for the W title in this save, if you remember that far back. But it seems like an eon ago, but it did happen. he shouts at Jinder, he's like, have you seen Seth? And then he's like, shh, Shanti. If you want to find Seth, being that irrationally angry will not draw him out. You need to be approachable. You need to seem calm. And then maybe Seth will come to find you. And then Drew's like, okay, yeah, Shanti. And then when Jinder shuts his eyes and he goes, Shanti, Drew smashes him with the pipe and leaves Jinder out cold. And then he continues screaming for Seth as he walks down the hallway off camera, as people tend to Jinder Mahal because he's had his ribs caved in. Okay, this worked. The 4 members of J-Flow that are not Maki, so Mina, Marika, Mizuki, and Tam, defeat 4 local competitors, quote unquote, but it's 4 random NXT people. 38 for Tam, 34 for Mizuki, 26 for Marika, 38 for Mina, 23 for Bourne and Skylar, 26 for Danny, and 27 for Alex Gracia. After the match, 43 segment. People keep coming to me backstage and telling me that Maki should do well on the mic, and I think this is the first time I've actually rated her alone. Actually, no, I didn't even rate her alone this time because I rated Robert Stone as well, but like without Dakota or someone, or Bailey and Sasha, because I want to see how she gets on, because they keep saying, oh, she's got charisma, she's going to push her. Anyway, she says that Dakota and Raquel may be defending on SmackDown this week, but let's not forget about their challenges they have here on Raw, being 2 members of J-Flow that they didn't beat. Robert Stone comes out, he's with Brandy and Aaliyah, and he's like, we are the number 1 contenders here on Raw. We're going to bring those women's tag titles home to the Robert Stone brand, and they'll never matter more once they're around the waists of Aaliyah and Brandy. New WWE signee in real life, Brandy Lauren as well, so good job for her. Maybe they're going to put her with Robert Stone, because I think that would be a good fit. But yeah, congratulations to real Brandy, of course, she's now in NXT. But she could become the Women's Tag Team Champion in Challenge Run. Another banging match. Cesaro defeats Jeff Hardy in 13:34 with a sharpshooter, gets a 77. Cesaro an 80, Jeff a 64. Just a nice showcase match for 2 draftees from Monday Night Raw from last week. Cesaro we saw beat AJ Styles, and Jeff wasn't on the show, he was in the little hype package thing. But after the match, a 69 segment, Cesaro was celebrating when he's jumped from behind by Akam and Johnny Gargano. Gargano lays him out with the one final beat DDT and holds up the IC title, giving it a smile and then tossing it back on Cesaro. So maybe he's got his eyes on a second piece of gold being brought to the greater good. And of course, commentary would ham up the fact that he had to come out here with Akam, because obviously with Drew McIntyre paroling around with a pipe, nobody in the church likes to wander around alone tonight. So that's why Akam's out here mainly, because we want to try and hamper that home that they want to stick together. R-Truth is backstage with Carmella, and I guess Naomi is now part of his posse as well. And they're talking about how they beat that Robert Stone brand again last week. When Robert Stone, him and Aaliyah and Brandy come in, the 6 people get into a fight. Obviously the 2 women fight the 2 women. Truth fights Robert Stone, ends up with him rolling up R-Truth, taking his baby, as Robert Stone brand flee, with the new champion at the helm. Asuka is backstage of an interview segment with Charlie, and she's like, Asuka, you're gonna face Lacey Evans tonight, but where is your mind at after what Kyrie said about you last week? And Asuka's like, Kyrie upset me. I thought me and Kyrie were best friends. She was I understand that her and Io go way back, so obviously they're the real best friends, but I may not have been her best friend, but she was my best friend, and now she's broke my heart, because hopefully we could all get over this, and hopefully no hard feelings still. That's when Kyrie and Io walk in, and they beat the shit out of Asuka, and smash her arm in with like one of those move-in boxes they have backstage against a wall, and they cackle at each other at the damage they've caused on the former women's champion. I clicked next. You definitely heard me click it. That leaves Lacey all alone by herself. She's like, oh Lord, last week I told that nasty new GM Eve that I was the top woman to mess with here on Raw, and I was going to prove it tonight by being ready for Asuka and defeating her with my women's fight. but since she's not going to be able to compete, I guess I'll win by forfeit. And then Charlotte Flair comes out. And she's like, you are not the top woman on Raw, I am. Bow down. Woo. And they have a match. Gets a 59. Charlotte beats her with an actual selection. They don't click. Charlotte gets a 64, 36 for Lacey. Robert Stone, he's ecstatic that he's won back the 24/7 title. He's running around the hallways, he's rubbing it in people's faces, random members of staff. He's going, oh, look at my title. Yeah, baby, I'm the champion. But then he runs one too fast. He bumps into somebody. He turns around. It's Drew McIntyre. He's angry there with his pipe. And Robert Stone's like, easy, big man. Hey, you know, I'm a champion now, and you're a former champion, of course, and sucks for you that you lost that belt, and who knows if you're ever going to get it back. But if you really want to get it back, you can join the Robert Stone brand, and of course, we'll help guide you to heights you'll never reached before. He gives him a little business card. Drew takes it, just throws it on the floor, and Robert Stone gets beaten up with the pipe as his quest to find the Church of Rollins continues. And then R-Truth calls out from behind one box somewhere and pins him and wins the title back as him and Naomi and Carmella run off together.
Everybody's dead.
Johnny Gargano and Akam, they're walking down the hallway. They meet up with Candice, and she's like, well, what's happening basically while you're out there trying to obviously get the IC title back is we've agreed Priest is going to be the one to accompany Murphy out to them in the main event tonight, and the rest of us, we all have to leave now. And then Johnny's like, okay, I need to go get my shit from my locker room though. Akam, you go wait in catering for us, and we'll come get you when we're done. So Johnny and Candice go off together into their locker room. Akam left guarding, I guess. Speaking of catering, Zelina's not very happy. She's pissed off that her boys lost their opportunity to become the tag team champions, even without even getting pinned earlier on tonight. And Andrade, of course, is not happy about this. He's like, God, I could just beat someone up. But he could definitely beat someone up because they go to catering. Zelina's favourites, there's none of them left because Otis has eaten them all. And she's like, oh, look at this disgusting slob. Oh, yeah, he goes. And then Zelina's like, oh, you've eaten all the food, you fat fuck. And Otis would take something off his plate and sort of put it on hers. And she's like, no, I don't want your leftover bullshit. This is unacceptable behaviour. Andrade is going to teach you a lesson in that ring tonight. So just a stupid little segment to sort of build up a match. Like one of those one segment match build-ups that we get all the time. Just to get Andrade and Otis both on the show. Who is Toni Storm? We get like a video package. Like they actually aired one on NXT in real life yesterday. It's all basically similar to that, about who she is, where she came from and why she's here on Raw, what her goals are after she beat Natalya last week, and how she's gonna... It's Toni time here every Monday night, baby. Liv defeats Natalya in 6:39 with the Oblivion, gets a 52. Liv a 56, Natty a 37. They have great chem, but Natty's got a bruised eye socket, so that hampered the match. Liv takes a microphone and says, I get it. I get that everyone in the women's division sees me as easy prey. Little old Liv Morgan being fed to the wolves. But I scratched and I clawed on my way to this title after being told for years that I wasn't tough enough, I wasn't entertaining enough. I was always treated as a lackey when I was brought up as a third wheel of a faction that didn't really mesh well, but I made that work. My friendship with Ruby and Sarah made that work. That was all on me. So I've earned this title. So Ruby, so Candice, you think you can take this title away from me? I'd love to see you try, girls. Actually pretty good rating. This is just rated on her entertainment again, because I'm trying to try and test people. Basically, for most of season 1, I was sort of people like Liv and Ruby and people like that, sort of background sort of players. Like, Liv was always in a feud with somebody. There would all be a Charlotte or a Shayna or an Asuka I could rate. And Ruby, of course, I read Seth in all the segments. I still do because he's talking most of them. But in segments like this, they get the chance to actually show what they can do themselves. And a 59 is actually pretty good. I wouldn't say Liv failed that by any means. R-Truth is celebrating that he's got his baby back. Carmella and Naomi are with him, of course. And he's running around, ecstatic. He's going to go to find his Uber, getting out of here with his baby. But again, like Robert Stone earlier on, he runs and he crashes into somebody as well. It's not Drew McIntyre this time. It's the Great Khali. He runs into the Great Khali. He gets smacked and knocked unconscious and just falls on the floor. Khali looks Carmella and Naomi as if to say, like, stay back. And of course, they're scared of the 7-foot monster. So they oblige. Khali puts his foot on Truth's chest and gets the 1-2-3 and takes the 24/7 title, holds it upside down, and I say walks, sort of hobbles off like the way Khali would. And then Carmella and Naomi looking at R-Truth on the floor and looking like, oh shit, how are we gonna pin this big man? And there he is, monster gimmick, very good. R-Truth's new 24/7 title rival has arrived, and he's looking very stylish, if I do say so myself. 69 for the match between Andrade and Otis, which probably would have been a lot better if it had a storyline because of the ratings they both got, which is an 85 for Andrade and a 671 for Otis. And yeah, it was just a quick match to get them both on the show. Zelina helped Andrade win. Johnny and Candice, speaking of catering, they arrive in catering where they left Akam because they've got their shit in their butt in their little rucksacks, and they're going to leave. They go to get Akam, but they find him laid out, face down, bloodied. They sort of panic, and Johnny's like, get to the car, and they both run away scared because they of course know who did this. There's only one man here tonight that could have left Akam in such a state, and that is an angry Scotsman with a lead pipe. Ladies and gentlemen, Elias. Elias says last week was supposed to be his big return to Raw, but Kevin Owens ruined it. He's not a man to hold grudges. He's an honest man. He doesn't hold grudges often. But this is one exception. Because Kevin Owens, he robbed the world of Elias' greatest hit about how he was going to come take over Raw and become WWE Champion. And now everyone must shut their mouths and hold the applause until said greatest hit is finished. And he actually starts playing this time, but Kevin Owens' music hits again. He comes out, he gets in Elias' face, gives him another stunner, and he grabs a mic and he's like, you see that, Murphy, that'll be you. Now bring your ass out here and let me take that title from you right now, because you're nothing but a mere little disciple, Seth Rollins lick-ass bitch. Ooh. 78 is actually really good considering they don't click. Murphy defeats Kevin Owens in 1843 with a Murphy's Law, and he makes defense number 1 of the WWE title. Murphy gets a 65, Owens a 73. Again, I'm really happy with this rating considering they don't have any chemistry. But this was a fucking segment and a half. As soon as the 3 count hits, as soon as he hits the Murphy's Law, it goes 1, 2, 3, the bell rings. Then instead of Murphy's theme playing in celebration, it's the bagpipes hit and Drew McIntyre's theme hits. So he doesn't even get a chance to rest. Priest has to go get the title and hand it to Murphy. And they're both on high alert. They're sort of looking around, waiting to see where Drew's coming from, because of course they don't know. And he comes out from the stage. He's got his lead pipe in hand. He's looking pissed off. He's going to smash in Buddy Murphy's face, and he gets smashed in Damian Priest's face. And that's when they're like, they have an epiphany. They're like, oh shit, we're dickhead heels. We can slide away. We can run through the crowd and get away from him. And then they go to turn. But Damian Priest is laid out with an RKO. Randy Orton, he sort of, again, hands on his knees, looking up at Buddy Murphy with a grin on his face. The snake has once again slithered in and struck when we least expected him. Drew McIntyre and his pipe are quickly advancing towards the ring. Murphy darts out at the back, and he escorts through the crowd. But Drew's not a dumb babyface. We're not doing the invisible force field thing here. Drew's following him back. He wants to get his hands on Murphy, somebody from the Church of Rollins. And of course, Damian Priest could have been, but he's already been laid out. Orton sort of got him covered. Buddy Murphy runs to the back. He gets to the car where the rest of the church are waiting, and they're like, "Get in, buddy, get in." And he gets in, and Seth goes to drive off, but then he finds out one of the tyres of his car has been slashed. That's when Edge comes out from behind the car with some sort of blade, revealing himself as the culprit, as the man who smashed the Monday Night Messiah's car's tyre. And then Drew McIntyre catches up to the car, and they're like, "Oh shit." You can see visible panic from inside the car from the Church of Rollins. McIntyre takes his pipe, he smashes in the two front windows. And then Edge tries to jump through one window, Drew through the other, and both of the faces try and grab members of the church. But Seth's like, "Fuck this. I'd rather die thanks to a car crash than let these two beat me up." And he floors it, and then the car drives off, and the faces are left behind. And then Drew takes his pipe, he throws it in anger, sort of like a javelin, and it smashes through the back window. As Seth and the church get away, of course, they've left Akam, and they've left him. Actually, don't know if they would have left Akam. They could have somehow taken Akam, but Damian Priest definitely got left behind because he was in the ring. And then Edge and Drew stare angrily, with their eyes follow the car as it leaves, as the show fades to black. 85, that is a fucking banger of a show. I think that might be the best Raw ever, which I'm actually really proud because I think this was actually my favourite Raw to book. Because I do love a show like... There was a whole storyline arc throughout the whole show. Like, the whole show had like a following of the whole Drew McIntyre and church thing. And that's the sort of thing I like when I watch my show. Like, you get rewarded for sticking through the whole thing. Anyway, what matters more than the 85 is what you thought of the show, of course. So do let me know what you thought in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for SmackDown and Mae Young Classic Episode 2. See you then.